The billionaire's betrayal, her silent revenge. Part 1, The Shattered Dream. The perfect morning. The morning sun painted golden streaks across Maya Rivera's hotel room as she stood before the full-length mirror, her heart racing with excitement. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. The wedding dress hugged her curves perfectly, its delicate lace and pearl details catching the light like tiny stars. She had spent months searching for this dress, finally finding it in a small boutique that fit her modest budget. Maya touched her dark hair, now styled in elegant waves that cascaded down her shoulders. She could hardly believe this was happening. A girl from a small town who had worked 3 jobs to pay for architecture school was about to marry Ethan Cross, the heir to Cross Enterprises, one of the biggest real estate development companies in the country. "You look absolutely stunning," Luna Martinez said from behind her, adjusting the veil with careful fingers. Luna had been Maya's best friend since their first day of college, the sister she never had. "Ethan is going to lose his mind when he sees you." Maya smiled, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears of joy. "I still can't believe this is real. Sometimes I wake up thinking it's all a dream." "It's very real, bestie," Luna squeezed her shoulders gently. "You deserve all this happiness. After everything you've been through, after all those late nights studying and working, you finally get your fairy tale." Maya thought about her journey. She had grown up in a tiny apartment with her father after her mother passed away when she was 10. Money was always tight, but her father worked himself to exhaustion to make sure she could pursue her dreams. When she got accepted to the prestigious architecture program at Columbia University, it felt like winning the lottery. That's where she met Ethan 3 years ago. He was everything she never knew she wanted: confident, charming, successful, and he seemed genuinely interested in her work. While other wealthy students looked down on her scholarship status, Ethan treated her as an equal. He would spend hours listening to her ideas about sustainable architecture and urban planning. 6 months ago, he proposed during a private dinner at the most expensive restaurant in the city. Maya remembered how her hands shook as she said yes, how Ethan had laughed and kissed her, telling her she had made him the happiest man alive. "The car will be here in 30 minutes, Luna checked her phone. "I need to head to the venue and make sure everything is perfect." "You okay here for a bit?" "I'm fine," Maya nodded, unable to stop smiling. "Go. I know you've been stressing about the flower arrangements." After Luna left, Maya sat down carefully, making sure not to wrinkle her dress. She picked up her phone and scrolled through messages from friends and family, all sending their love and congratulations. Her father had sent a photo of himself in his new suit, looking prouder than she had ever seen him. The venue was a beautiful garden estate just outside the city, with white roses and fairy lights everywhere. 300 guests would be attending. Ethan had insisted on a big wedding, saying his family had expectations. Maya would have been happy with something smaller and more intimate, but she understood. This wasn't just about them, it was about merging 2 very different worlds. The discovery. Maya decided to head to the venue early. She wanted a quiet moment to see everything before the ceremony began. The driver took her through the gates of the estate, and her breath caught at the sight. It was even more beautiful than she remembered. White chairs lined the aisle, leading to an arch covered in roses. As she stepped out of the car, Maya heard voices coming from a small cottage near the main building. She recognized one voice immediately. "Ethan." Her heart fluttered. She wasn't supposed to see him before the ceremony, but maybe she could sneak a peek. Maya walked quietly toward the cottage, planning to surprise him. But as she got closer, she heard another voice. A woman's voice. And what she heard made her blood turn to ice. "I still can't believe you're actually going through with this," the woman laughed. It was Vivian Sterling, Maya's former colleague and someone she had considered a friend. Marrying that naive little nobody. "Keep your voice down," Ethan replied, but there was amusement in his tone. "And it's necessary. Once we're married, I'll have legal access to all her designs and patents. Her sustainable building concept is worth millions, Vivian. Maybe billions." My father's company needs this. Maya's hand flew to her mouth, stopping the gasp that threatened to escape. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. But won't she suspect something? Vivian asked. I mean, she's not completely stupid. Please, Ethan scoffed. Maya is so desperate for love and validation that she'll believe anything I tell her. Poor girl from a broken home, always trying to prove herself. It was almost too easy. A few compliments about her work, some expensive dinners, and she fell completely in love with me. You're terrible, Vivian giggled. I love it. So after the wedding, you'll transfer her patents to Cross Enterprises? Exactly. And if she tries to fight it, well, prenuptial agreements are wonderful things. My lawyers made sure that anything created during our courtship becomes joint property, which means company property. She signed it without even reading the fine print. Maya felt like the ground was disappearing beneath her feet. She grabbed the wall of the cottage to steady herself, her wedding dress suddenly feeling like a costume, a cruel joke. And what about us? Vivian purred. You know I've been patient, darling. Very patient, Ethan murmured, and Maya heard the sound of kissing. After a respectable amount of time, maybe a year or two, we'll arrange a quiet divorce. I'll keep the designs, and you and I can finally be together publicly. Father already knows and approves. He never wanted me to marry someone from Maya's background anyway. She really thought you loved her, Vivian laughed cruelly. Did you see her face when you proposed? Like a puppy getting adopted from a shelter. That's what made it so convincing, Ethan replied. Her desperation. Her need to believe that someone like me could actually want someone like her. It made playing the role of devoted fiancé incredibly easy. Maya couldn't listen anymore. She stumbled backward, her vision blurring with tears. Everything she believed, everything she felt, had been a lie. A calculated, cruel lie designed to steal her life's work. Her mind raced through the past 3 years. Every sweet word, every tender moment, every promise of forever had been part of an elaborate con. Ethan never loved her. He saw her as a mark, a target, someone weak enough to manipulate. And Vivian. The woman she had confided in about her excitement for the wedding. The woman she had asked to be a bridesmaid. She had been sleeping with Ethan the entire time. Maya looked down at her wedding dress, at the ring on her finger, and felt a rage so pure and hot that it burned away her tears. They thought she was weak. They thought she was naive and desperate. They thought they had won. They were wrong. The public humiliation. Maya walked into the main venue with her head held high. Guests were already seated, waiting for the ceremony to begin. She could see her father in the front row, his face glowing with pride. Luna was adjusting flowers near the altar, completely unaware of what Maya had just discovered. The music started. Everyone stood and turned to watch her entrance. This was the moment she had dreamed of, the moment that was supposed to mark the beginning of her happily ever after. Instead, it would mark the beginning of something entirely different. Maya walked down the aisle slowly, her eyes locked on Ethan. He stood at the altar in his expensive suit, looking handsome and confident. When he saw her, his face lit up with that charming smile that had fooled her so completely. Next to him, his best man shifted nervously. Behind them, Vivian stood among the bridesmaids, wearing a smug expression. When Maya reached the altar, Ethan reached for her hand. She pulled away. Maya, he whispered, his smile faltering slightly. What's wrong? The officiant cleared his throat, ready to begin. Maya turned to face the crowd of 300 guests, her voice clear and steady. I'm sorry to waste everyone's time today, she said loudly. But there's not going to be a wedding. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ethan's face went pale, then red. Maya, what are you doing? Is this some kind of joke? No joke, Maya turned to face him, her eyes blazing. Just truth. Tell me, Ethan, do you love me? Of course I love you, he said quickly, reaching for her again. You're just having cold feet. It's normal. Let's talk about this privately. Privately? Maya laughed bitterly. Like you and Vivian talk privately? Should we discuss your plans to steal my patents? Or maybe we should talk about how I'm just a desperate nobody who was too stupid to see through your act. The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. Ethan's parents stood up from their seats, their faces twisted with alarm. Vivian had gone completely white. I don't know what you think you heard, Ethan said, his voice taking on a sharp edge. But you're making a scene and embarrassing both our families. I'm embarrassing our families? Maya's voice rose. I heard everything, Ethan. The cottage near the entrance has terrible soundproofing. I heard how you never loved me. I heard about your plan to take my designs. I heard you and Vivian laughing about how easy I was to manipulate. Vivian stepped forward, her perfect makeup unable to hide her panic. She's lying, she said desperately. She's just scared of commitment and trying to sabotage everything. Am I? Maya pulled out her phone. Because I recorded the whole conversation. She pressed play, and Ethan's voice filled the venue through the sound system Luna had set up for the ceremony. Every cruel word, every mocking laugh, every detail of their plan to use and discard her. The crowd listened in stunned silence. Maya watched as Ethan's carefully constructed facade crumbled. His parents looked horrified, not because of what he had done, but because he had been caught. Several guests were already on their phones, no doubt spreading the story across social media. When the recording ended, Maya looked at Ethan one last time. You wanted to take everything from me because you thought I was weak and desperate. You thought my love made me stupid. But you were wrong. I'm not the naive girl you thought you were playing. Not anymore. She turned to Vivian. And you. I considered you a friend. I trusted you. I hope it was worth it. Vivian's mask of superiority finally cracked. You think you're so special, she hissed. You think you're so talented. But without Ethan's connections, you're nothing. You'll always be nothing. We'll see, Maya said calmly. She walked back down the aisle, past the shocked faces and frantic whispers. Luna caught up with her, tears streaming down her face, and wrapped her in a fierce hug. I'm so sorry, Luna sobbed. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Don't be sorry, Maya said, and despite everything, she felt a strange sense of clarity. This is just the beginning. The breaking point. Maya sat alone in her hotel room, still wearing her wedding dress. She had sent Luna away, needing time to process everything. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing with messages, calls from family members, texts from friends, notifications about the videos already spreading online. She turned off her phone and stared at herself in the mirror. Her makeup was ruined, mascara streaking down her cheeks. She looked broken. Destroyed. Exactly how Ethan and Vivian had wanted her to look. But beneath the tears and the pain, something else was stirring. Something cold and determined. Maya thought about all the years she had worked to build her reputation as an architect. The sustainable building designs she had created were revolutionary, combining environmental responsibility with stunning aesthetics. She had poured her heart and soul into that work. And Ethan had tried to steal it all. She stood up and began removing the wedding dress, letting it pool on the floor like a discarded dream. Underneath, she was still Maya Rivera. Still the girl who had fought her way out of poverty. Still the woman who had earned her degree through sheer determination. Ethan and Vivian thought they had broken her. They thought she would retreat into shame and obscurity, making it easier for them to profit from her stolen designs. They had no idea who they were dealing with. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Maya wrapped herself in a robe and checked the peephole. A well-dressed man stood in the hallway, holding a business card. Miss Rivera, he said when she opened the door slightly. My name is James Chen. I represent Marcus Chen, CEO of Chen Industries. My employer watched the events of this afternoon with great interest. He would like to speak with you about a business proposition. Maya stared at the card. Chen Industries was one of Cross Enterprises' biggest competitors. Marcus Chen was known as a ruthless businessman who had built his empire from nothing, much like Maya's own humble beginnings. "What kind of proposition?" she asked carefully. "The kind that would allow you to turn today's humiliation into tomorrow's triumph." James smiled slightly. "Mr. Chen believes you have extraordinary talent that has been undervalued and exploited. He would like to help you show the world what you're truly capable of." Maya looked at the business card, then back at her destroyed wedding dress on the floor. She thought about Ethan's smug face, Vivian's cruel laughter, the way they had both assumed she would simply accept her fate as a victim. "Tell Mr. Chen I'll meet with him tomorrow," she said, her voice steady. "First thing in the morning." James nodded approvingly. "I'll arrange everything." "And Miss Rivera? What happened today was terrible. But sometimes our greatest defeats become the fuel for our greatest victories." After he left, Maya returned to the mirror. She wiped away her tears and looked at herself with new eyes. The naive girl who had walked down that aisle was gone forever. In her place stood someone harder, sharper, and infinitely more dangerous. Ethan Cross had declared war the moment he decided to use her heart as a weapon against her. He wanted her designs, her patents, her life's work. He was about to learn that Maya Rivera was not someone to be underestimated. She picked up her phone and turned it back on. Among the messages was one from her father: "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. Whatever you need, I'm here." Maya smiled for the first time since the disaster. She texted back, "Get ready, Dad. Everything is about to change." Then she opened her laptop and began documenting every design, every patent, every piece of intellectual property that Ethan might try to claim. She worked through the night, fueled by rage and determination. By the time the sun rose on her would-be wedding day, Maya had created a comprehensive file of evidence proving her sole ownership of all her designs. She had also researched Marcus Chen extensively, learning everything she could about the man who wanted to help her. The old Maya would have hidden from the embarrassment, withdrawn from the world, and tried to heal quietly. The new Maya was going to make sure that everyone who had underestimated her would regret it for the rest of their lives. Part 2, The Rise from Ashes, 2,000 words. The Transformation. 6 months had passed since the wedding that never was. Maya stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of her new office, looking out over the city skyline. The view from the 42nd floor of the Chen Industries building was breathtaking, but Maya barely noticed anymore. She was too focused on the empire she was building. The woman reflected in the glass was almost unrecognizable from the heartbroken bride who had fled her own wedding. Maya's hair was now cut in a sleek, professional style that framed her face with sharp precision. She wore a tailored black suit that cost more than her entire wardrobe used to, and her eyes held a confidence that came from knowing exactly what she was capable of. Her meeting with Marcus Chen the day after her ruined wedding had changed everything. Marcus was a self-made billionaire in his late 30s, known for his brilliant business mind and his ruthless approach to competition. He had built Chen Industries from a small construction company into a global empire, and he had done it by recognizing talent that others overlooked. "Miss Rivera," he had said during that first meeting, his dark eyes studying her with interest. "I've been following your work for 2 years. Your sustainable building designs are the future of architecture. Cross Enterprises would have made billions from your patents. That's why Ethan targeted you." Maya had sat across from him in his pristine office, still raw from betrayal but refusing to show weakness. "Why do you want to help me?" Marcus had smiled, a rare expression that softened his usually stern features. "Because I recognize myself in you. I also came from nothing. I also had people try to steal from me, to use my own trust as a weapon. And I learned that the best revenge isn't violence or anger. It's success so overwhelming that your enemies choke on their own jealousy." He had offered her a partnership. Chen Industries would provide the capital, resources, and legal protection she needed to launch her own architectural firm. In return, Marcus would receive a percentage of profits for the first 5 years, after which Maya would have complete ownership. I don't want to control you, Marcus had explained. I want to invest in you. There's a difference. Maya had accepted, but she had also made demands. She wanted to learn everything: business strategy, negotiation tactics, corporate warfare. She wasn't going to be just a talented architect anymore. She was going to become someone who could never be manipulated again. Marcus had agreed immediately. I'll teach you everything I know. But be warned, this path will change you. You'll have to become harder, smarter, more strategic. The question is, are you ready for that? Maya had looked him in the eye and said, I'm ready to become whoever I need to be. The past 6 months had been brutal. Maya worked 16-hour days, sometimes sleeping in her office. She studied business law, marketing strategies, and financial management. Marcus personally tutored her in negotiation, teaching her how to read people, how to find their weaknesses, and how to leverage information. She trained her body as well, starting early morning sessions with a personal trainer. The physical discipline helped focus her mental discipline. She wanted to be strong in every way possible. Luna had been by her side through everything, serving as her assistant and confidant. You're like a completely different person, Luna had said one evening as they worked late. Good, Maya had replied without looking up from her designs. The old Maya got destroyed. This version won't make the same mistakes. But there were moments, late at night when she was alone, when Maya wondered if she was losing something essential. She rarely smiled anymore. She had built walls around her heart so high that sometimes she felt trapped behind them. Still, every time doubt crept in, she remembered Ethan's voice saying she was desperate and naive. She remembered Vivian's mocking laughter. And the walls got higher. Building the empire. Maya's architectural firm, Rivera Innovations, launched 3 months after the ruined wedding. The announcement made headlines, especially given the dramatic circumstances of her departure from the architecture world. Her first major project was a sustainable housing complex designed for low-income families. Maya used cutting-edge green technology combined with beautiful, dignified design. She wanted to prove that affordable housing didn't have to be ugly or poorly made. The project won immediate praise from critics and the community. More importantly, it caught the attention of major developers who had previously dismissed her as Ethan Cross's fiancée rather than recognizing her as a talented architect in her own right. Within 4 months, Rivera Innovations had secured 5 major contracts, including a revolutionary eco-friendly office building for a Fortune 500 company. The building's design incorporated solar panels seamlessly into the architecture, rainwater collection systems, and green spaces on every floor. It was exactly the kind of project Ethan had wanted for Cross Enterprises. Maya smiled every time she thought about him reading the news coverage of her success. The media loved her story, the betrayed bride who rose from humiliation to build her own empire. Maya gave carefully controlled interviews, always professional, never bitter. She spoke about her vision for sustainable architecture, her commitment to making beautiful buildings accessible to everyone, and her gratitude for the second chance Marcus Chen had given her. She never mentioned Ethan or Vivian by name. She didn't have to. Everyone knew exactly who she was talking about when she said, I learned that not everyone who claims to support your dreams actually wants to see you succeed. Some people see your passion as something to exploit. The strategy was brilliant. By staying classy and focused on her work, Maya made Ethan and Vivian look even worse in comparison. While she was building beautiful structures and gaining respect, they were being viewed as the villains who had tried to steal from a talented woman. Cross Enterprises began losing clients. Several major developers who had worked with Ethan's family for years quietly shifted their business to Chen Industries and Rivera Innovations. The message was clear: the architecture world didn't appreciate what Ethan had tried to do. Maya tracked every loss Cross Enterprises suffered with quiet satisfaction. She kept a private file documenting their declining stock prices, lost contracts, and negative press coverage. It wasn't enough yet, but it was a start. Meanwhile, Rivera Innovations thrived. Maya hired a team of brilliant young architects, many of them from backgrounds similar to her own. She created a culture of innovation and respect, treating her employees the way she wished she had been treated. Luna officially became her chief operating officer, managing the day-to-day operations while Maya focused on design and strategy. Together, they built something neither of them had imagined possible 6 months earlier. "You're doing it," Luna said one evening as they celebrated signing their biggest contract yet. "You're actually beating him." Maya looked at the contract, at the signatures that represented millions of dollars and years of work. "I'm not trying to beat him," she said softly. "I'm trying to forget he ever existed." But that was a lie, and they both knew it. Every decision Maya made, every success she achieved, was measured against the goal of making Ethan regret what he had done. The first strike. The Anderson Towers project was the crown jewel of commercial real estate in the city. Twin skyscrapers that would redefine the skyline, featuring luxury apartments, office spaces, and a 5-star hotel. The contract to design and develop the project was worth over $200 million. Cross Enterprises had been courting the Anderson family for 3 years. It was supposed to be their big comeback project after months of declining business. Ethan had personally pitched to the Andersons dozens of times. Maya submitted her proposal 2 weeks before the final decision. Her design was stunning, twin towers that looked like trees reaching for the sky, with terraces on every level creating vertical gardens. The buildings would be completely carbon neutral, using renewable energy and recycled materials. More importantly, Maya had done her research. She knew that Mrs. Anderson was passionate about environmental causes. She knew that Mr. Anderson valued innovation and bold thinking. Her proposal spoke directly to what they wanted, not just what they had asked for. When the Andersons announced that Rivera Innovations had won the contract, the news sent shockwaves through the industry. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. Maya Rivera had beaten Cross Enterprises at their own game. The annual Architecture Excellence Gala happened 2 weeks later. It was the biggest event of the year, where all the major firms and designers gathered to celebrate achievements and make deals. Maya had skipped it the previous year, still recovering from her public humiliation. This year, she arrived like a queen. Her dress was midnight blue, elegant and sophisticated without being flashy. Diamonds glittered at her ears and throat, gifts from Marcus to celebrate the Anderson Towers' victory. Her hair was swept up, revealing a graceful neck and confident posture. She entered the ballroom with Marcus at her side. He had insisted on accompanying her, both as her business partner and as a show of support. Maya appreciated the gesture more than she would admit. The room fell silent as people noticed her arrival. Then the whispers started, spreading through the crowd like wildfire. Maya Rivera. The woman who had been humiliated at her own wedding had returned, and she looked absolutely triumphant. Maya held her head high, smiling politely at people she recognized. Several architects approached to congratulate her on the Anderson Towers contract. She was gracious and professional, giving credit to her team while accepting the praise. Then she saw him. Ethan stood near the bar, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He looked thinner than Maya remembered, with dark circles under his eyes and tension in his jaw. Vivian was next to him, clinging to his arm, but even her expensive dress and jewelry couldn't hide the desperation in her eyes. Their eyes met across the room. Maya saw shock flash across Ethan's face, followed by something that looked like regret. Good. She wanted him to regret everything. She walked toward them deliberately, Marcus staying close behind her. The crowd parted, everyone eager to witness this confrontation. Ethan, Maya said pleasantly when she reached him. Vivian. How lovely to see you both. Maya, Ethan cleared his throat. You look different. Success tends to have that effect, Maya smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Congratulations on your engagement, by the way. I saw the announcement. How romantic that you two can finally be together publicly. Vivian's face flushed red. We're very happy, she said defensively. I'm sure you are, Maya's voice dripped with false sweetness. Though I have to wonder, Vivian, do you ever worry that Ethan might be using you the same way he used me? After all, if he could fake loving one woman to steal her work, what's stopping him from doing it again? That's enough, Ethan said sharply. What happened between us is in the past. Oh, I completely agree, Maya said. The past. Which is exactly where Cross Enterprises seems to be heading, from what I hear. How many clients have you lost in the past 6 months? 8? 10? Ethan's jaw clenched. Business goes through cycles. Does it? Because Rivera Innovations seems to be in a very positive cycle right now. In fact, we just signed the Anderson Towers contract. I believe you were hoping for that one, weren't you? The barb hit its mark. Ethan's face went pale, then red with anger. You stole that from us. Stole? Maya's eyebrows rose. That's an interesting word choice, coming from you. I won that contract fairly, with better designs and a better vision. Just like I'll win every other contract you hope for. Because here's the thing, Ethan, you tried to take everything from me, but you failed. And now I'm going to spend the rest of my career making sure everyone knows that you're not just a bad person, you're also a bad architect. You vindictive bitch, Vivian hissed. Maya turned her cold gaze on Vivian. Vindictive? No. I'm just better at this than you thought I would be. You wanted to destroy me, to laugh while I suffered. Instead, I took your weapon and turned it into my armor. Every insult you threw at me made me stronger. Every doubt you planted made me more determined. So thank you, really. I couldn't have done this without your betrayal. She turned to leave, but Ethan grabbed her arm. Maya, wait. Please. I know I hurt you. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I. Let go of me, Maya said quietly, her voice like ice. Marcus stepped forward, his presence intimidating. The lady asked you to let go. Ethan released her immediately, taking a step back. For a moment, Maya saw genuine pain in his eyes, and she wondered if he actually regretted what he had done. Then she remembered the recording, his mocking voice calling her desperate and naive. You know what the saddest part is? Maya said softly. If you had just loved me for real, if you had been honest and partnered with me genuinely, we could have built something amazing together. My designs with your family's resources could have changed the world. But you were too arrogant and too greedy to see that. You thought stealing from me was easier than working with me. That was your biggest mistake. She walked away without looking back, feeling Ethan's stare burning into her spine. Marcus followed, and once they were out of earshot, he leaned close and whispered, "That was magnificent." Was it? Maya felt hollow inside despite her triumph. Then why do I feel so empty? Marcus stopped walking and turned to face her. Because revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You can destroy Ethan's business, humiliate him publicly, take everything he has. But if you're only doing it to fill the hole he left, you'll never be satisfied. Maya looked at him in surprise. This was the most personal thing Marcus had ever said to her. So what should I do? She asked. Build your empire because it's what you love, not because it hurts him, Marcus said gently. Succeed because you're brilliant, not because he's not. Otherwise, he still controls you, just in a different way. The words hit Maya harder than any insult Ethan had ever thrown at her. She had spent 6 months transforming herself into someone strong and successful, but she had done it all in reaction to him. Every victory was measured by how much it would hurt him. Every decision was filtered through the lens of revenge. She was still letting him control her life. Unexpected feelings. The weeks following the gala brought unexpected changes. Maya found herself thinking more about Marcus's words than about her vendetta against Ethan. She started making decisions based on what she wanted to create rather than what would hurt her enemy. The shift was subtle but profound. She spent more time on innovative designs that excited her, less time tracking Cross Enterprises' losses. She invested in projects that aligned with her values, even if they didn't directly compete with Ethan's business. And she noticed Marcus. She had always respected him as a business partner and mentor, but she had kept their relationship strictly professional. Now she found herself looking forward to their strategy meetings, not just for the business insights but for his company. Marcus was different from Ethan in every way. Where Ethan had been charming and effusive with compliments, Marcus was reserved and direct. Where Ethan had made grand romantic gestures, Marcus showed care through quiet support and thoughtful advice. Where Ethan had seen her as a target, Marcus saw her as an equal. One evening, they were working late in her office, reviewing proposals for a new project. Maya noticed Marcus watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "What?" she asked, suddenly self-conscious. "You're different lately," Marcus said. "Lighter, somehow. Less focused on destruction and more focused on creation." Maya set down her pen. "Your advice at the gala stuck with me. You were right. I was letting Ethan control me through my hatred of him. And now? Now I'm trying to figure out who I am when I'm not defined by what he did to me," Maya admitted. "It's harder than I expected. I spent so long being angry that I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to feel." Marcus was quiet for a moment, then said, "Can I tell you something? Something I've never told anyone else?" Maya nodded, surprised by the vulnerability in his voice. 10 years ago, I was engaged," Marcus began. "Her name was Sarah. I loved her completely, trusted her with everything. I was building my company, working insane hours, and she seemed to understand and support my ambitions." Maya's stomach dropped. She could already guess where this was going. "I found out 3 days before our wedding that she was having an affair with my business partner," Marcus continued. "They had been planning to wait until after the wedding, then divorce me and take half of everything I had built. It was all legal, all planned out. I was just a stepping stone to them." "What did you do?" Maya asked softly. "I destroyed them both," Marcus said flatly. "I used every legal and business weapon at my disposal. I bankrupted my former partner. I made sure Sarah's reputation was ruined in our social circles. I dedicated 2 years of my life to making them suffer for what they tried to do to me. And did it make you feel better?" Marcus looked at her with eyes that had seen too much pain. "For a while, yes. Every time they lost something, I felt a rush of satisfaction. But then it ended. They had nothing left to take, and I realized I had spent 2 years of my life focused on 2 people who didn't deserve 5 minutes of my time. I had become cruel and empty. I had lost pieces of myself that I could never get back." Maya felt tears prickling her eyes. "Is that why you helped me? Because you saw yourself in my situation?" "Partly," Marcus admitted. "But also because I saw something in you that I lost in myself, the ability to create beauty even after experiencing ugliness. Your designs are hopeful and optimistic, even after what Ethan did to you. I didn't want you to lose that the way I lost my own joy in building things." Without thinking, Maya reached across the desk and took his hand. Marcus looked startled but didn't pull away. "Thank you," she said. "For being honest with me. For helping me. For caring enough to tell me when I was going down the wrong path." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "You're an extraordinary woman, Maya Rivera. Don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you otherwise." Something shifted between them in that moment. The air felt charged with possibility, with the potential for something neither of them had been looking for but both desperately needed. Maya pulled her hand back slowly, confused by her own feelings. She had sworn off relationships after Ethan. She had built walls specifically to prevent this kind of vulnerability. But Marcus wasn't Ethan. He had his own scars, his own reasons to be cautious. He understood what it meant to be betrayed by someone you trusted. Maybe that's why being around him felt safe in a way nothing else did. "It's late," Marcus said, breaking the tension. "You should go home and get some rest." Maya nodded, gathering her things. but as she reached the door, she turned back. "Marcus? Would you want to have dinner sometime?" "Not a business dinner. Just dinner." Marcus smiled, a genuine warm smile that transformed his usually serious face. "I would like that very much." As Maya drove home that night, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Not the desperate hope of the naive girl who had believed Ethan's lies, but a cautious, mature hope that maybe, just maybe, she could trust again. Her phone buzzed with a text from Luna. "Just saw the latest news. Cross Enterprises lost another major client. You're destroying him." Maya looked at the message but didn't feel the satisfaction she once would have. Instead, she felt tired. Tired of carrying hatred, tired of measuring her success by someone else's failure. She texted back, "Good. But I'm done obsessing over it. Time to focus on building something real." Luna's response came quickly, "About damn time. I've been waiting for you to realize that for months." Maya smiled and put her phone away. Tomorrow she would start working on a new project, something innovative and exciting that had nothing to do with Ethan or revenge. She would have dinner with Marcus and see if the connection between them could become something real. She was finally ready to stop being defined by what had been done to her and start defining herself by what she chose to create. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time since her ruined wedding, Maya felt like she was moving forward rather than just running away. Part 3: The Final Reckoning. The Ultimate Plan. 1 year after the wedding that never was, Maya stood in her office overlooking the city she was slowly reshaping with her designs. Rivera Innovations had become one of the most respected architectural firms in the country, known for combining stunning aesthetics with environmental responsibility. The Anderson Towers were nearing completion, and they were even more beautiful than Maya had imagined. The vertical gardens created living art that changed with the seasons, and the carbon-neutral design had won international awards. Maya's personal life had also transformed. Her relationship with Marcus had developed slowly and carefully, both of them wary of rushing into something that could break them all over again. They had gone on that first dinner, then another, then more. They talked about their pasts, their fears, their dreams. Marcus never pressured her for more than she was ready to give. He was patient in a way that felt like respect rather than strategy. When they finally kissed for the first time, 3 months into their relationship, it felt right in a way nothing with Ethan ever had. "I'm falling in love with you," Marcus had said one night as they sat in his apartment, watching the city lights. "I know that's terrifying for both of us. But I wanted you to know." Maya had taken his hand, her heart racing but not from fear. "I'm falling in love with you too. And you're right, it's terrifying. But it's also the best thing that's happened to me in a long time." They had been together for 9 months now, and Maya finally understood the difference between real love and the illusion she had shared with Ethan. Real love was built on trust, respect, and genuine partnership. It didn't require her to be smaller or weaker. It celebrated her strength. But despite her happiness and success, there was still unfinished business. Cross Enterprises was in serious trouble. They had lost most of their major clients, their stock price had plummeted, and rumors of bankruptcy circulated through the industry. Ethan's engagement to Vivian had ended badly. According to gossip Maya tried not to listen to but heard anyway, Vivian had left him for a wealthier man once it became clear Cross Enterprises was failing. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Then, 3 days ago, Maya received a call that changed everything. Ethan's father, Richard Cross, wanted to meet with her. Alone. She almost refused, but curiosity won out. Richard Cross was a proud man who had built his company through ruthless business practices. For him to reach out to her meant things were even more desperate than she had thought. The meeting took place in a neutral location, a private room at an exclusive restaurant. Richard Cross looked older than Maya remembered, his face lined with stress and his shoulders slumped with defeat. "Miss Rivera," he said when she entered, standing politely. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." "Mr. Cross." Maya sat across from him, her posture perfect, her expression neutral. I'll admit I'm curious about why you wanted to see me. Richard took a deep breath. I'll be direct. Cross Enterprises is failing. We've lost contracts, clients, reputation. Within 6 months, we'll be bankrupt unless something changes. I'm sorry to hear that, Maya said, though her tone suggested otherwise. No, you're not, Richard smiled bitterly. And you have every right not to be. What my son did to you was unconscionable. I didn't know about his plans until after the wedding disaster, and by then the damage was done. Did you come here to apologize on his behalf? Maya asked coolly. No, Richard said. I came to offer you a deal. Cross Enterprises has one asset left that might save us, a contract to develop the Harbor District waterfront. It's a massive project, worth over $500 million. The City Council awarded us the contract 2 years ago, but we no longer have the capital or expertise to execute it. Maya leaned forward, interested despite herself. The Harbor District project was legendary in architecture circles. Whoever developed it would reshape the entire waterfront and create a legacy that would last generations. What are you proposing? She asked. Partner with us, Richard said. Rivera Innovations would handle all design and development. Cross Enterprises would provide the contract and whatever resources we have left. We split the profits 60-40, with the majority going to you. Maya studied him carefully. And Ethan? What's his role in all this? Ethan has been removed from the company, Richard said quietly. The board and I forced him out last month. His actions damaged our reputation beyond repair. He's no longer part of Cross Enterprises in any capacity. This was unexpected. Maya had imagined many scenarios, but she never thought Ethan would be completely cast out by his own family. Where is he now? She asked. I don't know, Richard admitted, and there was pain in his voice. He left the city after we removed him. He won't return my calls. I failed him as a father, Miss Rivera. I taught him to value profit over people, and this is the result. Maya felt a strange mix of emotions. She had wanted Ethan to suffer, to lose everything the way she almost had. But hearing the brokenness in his father's voice, she realized that revenge was a fire that burned everyone it touched. I need time to think about your proposal, Maya said finally. Of course, Richard stood, looking defeated. I know I have no right to ask for your mercy. But the Harbor District project could employ thousands of people. It could revitalize an entire section of the city. I'm asking you not for my sake or even for the company's sake, but for all the people who would benefit from seeing it completed properly. After he left, Maya sat alone in the restaurant for a long time, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. The confrontation. Maya didn't give Richard an answer immediately. Instead, she did something she had avoided for a year. She tried to find Ethan. It took her private investigator 3 days to locate him. Ethan was living in a modest apartment on the outskirts of the city, working as a junior architect at a small firm. The man who had once had everything had been reduced to starting over from scratch. Maya stood outside his apartment building, debating whether this was a good idea. Part of her wanted to walk away and never think about him again. But another part needed closure, needed to face him one final time and put this chapter of her life to rest completely. She knocked on his door. When Ethan opened it, she barely recognized him. He had lost weight, his expensive clothes replaced by jeans and a simple t-shirt. The arrogance that had once defined him was gone, replaced by exhaustion and defeat. Maya, he breathed, shock and pain crossing his face. What are you doing here? Can we talk? She asked. Ethan stepped aside, letting her into an apartment that was nothing like the luxury penthouse he used to own. The furniture was second-hand, the space small and cramped. It was the kind of place Maya had lived in during college. Your father came to see me, Maya said, standing in the middle of the room. He told me you'd been removed from the company. Ethan laughed bitterly. Removed? That's a polite way of saying I was thrown out like garbage. Everything I did for that company, and they discarded me the moment I became a liability. You did it to yourself, Maya said without sympathy. You chose to manipulate me instead of partnering with me honestly. You chose to mock and betray someone who loved you. These are the consequences of your choices. I know, Ethan sat down heavily on his worn couch. Believe me, I know. I've had a year to think about what I did, about who I became. And you're right. I destroyed everything good in my life because I was too arrogant to see that what you offered me honestly was worth more than anything I could steal. Maya crossed her arms. Why did you do it? Was I really just a mark to you? Did you feel anything real? Ethan was quiet for a long moment. At first, yes. You were a mark. My father pressured me to find a way to acquire your designs. He saw their value before most people did. But as I got to know you, as I saw your passion and brilliance. He paused, his voice breaking. I started to actually care about you. And that terrified me. So your solution was to pretend even harder? Maya asked incredulously. I thought if I just went through with the plan, got the patents, I could eventually make it real between us, Ethan said miserably. I thought I could have both, your work and you. I didn't realize that by trying to steal from you, I was destroying any chance of actually being with you. That's the most selfish, backwards logic I've ever heard, Maya said. I know, Ethan looked up at her with red-rimmed eyes. I know it doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't excuse anything. But I need you to understand that what I felt for you wasn't entirely fake. I did love you, Maya. I just loved my ambition more, and that's something I'll regret for the rest of my life. Maya felt tears prickling her eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of release, of finally understanding that Ethan's betrayal said everything about him and nothing about her worthiness of love. I came here to tell you something, she said quietly. Your father wants me to partner with Cross Enterprises on the Harbor District project. He's offering me control and majority profit. Ethan's face went pale. Are you going to do it? I don't know yet, Maya admitted. Part of me wants to let your family's company die, to finish what you started when you betrayed me. That would be perfect revenge. And the other part? Ethan asked. The other part remembers that I became an architect because I wanted to create beautiful spaces where people could live and work and thrive, Maya said. The Harbor District project could change thousands of lives. Letting it fail because I'm still angry at you would be selfish. You're a better person than I ever was, Ethan said softly. No, Maya corrected. I'm just someone who learned that revenge is empty. Destroying you didn't make me happy. Building something meaningful did. You taught me that lesson in the most painful way possible, but it's a lesson I needed to learn. She walked toward the door, then turned back one last time. I forgive you, Ethan. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to stop carrying this hatred around. What you did was terrible, but I'm not going to let it define the rest of my life. Maya, wait, Ethan stood up. I know I have no right to ask, but do you think, could you ever? No, Maya said firmly. Whatever we had is gone forever. I'm with someone now who treats me the way I should have always been treated. Someone who values my strength instead of trying to exploit it. You taught me what I don't want in a partner. He's teaching me what I do want. She left before Ethan could respond, feeling lighter than she had in months. She had said what she needed to say, and now she could finally close that chapter of her life. Choosing love over hate. Maya called Marcus that evening and told him about both meetings. He listened without interrupting, his presence comforting even over the phone. What do you want to do? He asked when she finished. What would you do? Maya countered. Marcus was quiet for a moment. When I destroyed my ex-fiancé and former partner, I thought it would make me feel powerful. Instead, it made me feel empty. I won the battle but lost something essential in myself. If I could go back, I would have walked away and built my success without them. I would have chosen to define myself by what I created, not by who I destroyed. But they tried to steal from you, Maya protested. And they failed, Marcus pointed out. Just like Ethan failed. You already won, Maya. You're successful, respected, and happy. Taking on the Harbor District project isn't about Ethan or his father or revenge. It's about whether you want to create something that will outlast all of us. Maya thought about her designs, about the buildings she had created that combined beauty with purpose. She thought about the Anderson Towers and how proud she felt every time she saw them reaching toward the sky. I'm going to do it, she said finally. But on my terms. I'm going to demand full creative control, 70% of profits, and my name on every single design document. Cross Enterprises will be a silent partner who provides the contract and nothing else. That's my girl, Marcus said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. Ruthless in business, but not in life. It's a good balance. The next day, Maya met with Richard Cross and presented her terms. He agreed to everything without hesitation, so desperate to save something from the wreckage of his family's legacy that he would have agreed to almost anything. The contract was signed within a week. Maya assembled her best team and began work on the most ambitious project of her career. The Harbor District development would take 3 years to complete, but when it was finished, it would be a masterpiece of sustainable urban design. New beginnings. 2 years later, Maya stood at another venue preparing for another wedding. But this time, everything was different. The location was a beautiful garden at sunset, intimate and warm. Only close friends and family were invited, fewer than 50 people total. Luna stood beside Maya as her maid of honor, tears already streaming down her face. You look so happy, Luna whispered. This is how you should have looked last time. Last time I was trying to convince myself I was happy, Maya said, adjusting her simple but elegant dress. This time I don't have to try. It's just real. The music started, and Maya walked down the aisle toward Marcus, who stood waiting for her with such love and joy on his face that she felt her own eyes fill with tears. This wedding wasn't about impressing anyone or proving anything. It was about two people who had both been broken by betrayal finding healing in each other. When they exchanged vows, Maya promised to trust Marcus with her whole heart. And when Marcus promised to always honor her strength and never take advantage of her kindness, she knew he meant every word. Her father walked her down the aisle, and this time his tears were purely of joy. Your mother would be so proud of the woman you've become, he whispered before placing her hand in Marcus's. The reception was filled with laughter and genuine celebration. Maya danced with her father, with Luna, and most of all with Marcus, who held her like she was something precious that he would protect but never cage. At one point, Maya stepped outside for a moment of quiet. Luna joined her, handing her a glass of champagne. Do you ever think about him? Luna asked. About Ethan and what might have been. Maya looked up at the stars and smiled. Sometimes. But not with regret. If he hadn't betrayed me, I never would have built Rivera Innovations. I never would have learned how strong I really am. I never would have met Marcus. Everything that happened led me here, to this moment, and I wouldn't change a single thing. Not even the pain? Luna asked. Especially not the pain, Maya said. The pain taught me that I could survive anything. It showed me that my worth isn't dependent on someone else's opinion of me. And it cleared the way for something real and beautiful. Inside, the party continued. Marcus appeared in the doorway, looking for his new wife. When he saw her, his face lit up with such genuine affection that Maya's heart swelled. There you are, he said, coming to wrap his arms around her. People are asking for the bride. Let them wait, Maya leaned into him. I'm having a moment of gratitude. For what? Marcus asked. For everything, Maya said. For the betrayal that made me strong. For the pain that taught me to value real love. For you, for believing in me when I was at my lowest. For the life we're building together. Marcus kissed her forehead gently. We're going to build something amazing, Maya Rivera Chen. We already have, Maya smiled. Everything else is just bonus. As they walked back inside hand in hand, Maya caught a glimpse of her reflection in the window. She looked happy, truly happy, in a way that had nothing to do with proving anyone wrong and everything to do with knowing exactly who she was and what she wanted. The Harbor District project had been completed 6 months earlier to universal acclaim. It had won every major architecture award and was being studied as a model for sustainable urban development worldwide. Rivera Innovations was now global, with offices in 5 countries. But more than any professional success, Maya was proud of the woman she had become. She was strong without being cruel. She was successful without being ruthless. She had learned to protect herself without closing off her heart completely. Ethan and Vivian were distant memories now, their betrayal a story that Maya rarely told anymore. She had heard that Ethan was slowly rebuilding his career at the small firm, working his way up through actual talent and hard work for the first time in his life. Part of her hoped he would find his own redemption eventually. As for Vivian, last Maya heard, she had moved to another city after her reputation made it impossible to find work locally. Maya felt nothing about this, not satisfaction or pity. Just indifference. The greatest revenge, she had learned, wasn't destruction. It was building such a beautiful life that the people who hurt you became irrelevant. Maya danced with Marcus until late into the night, surrounded by people who genuinely loved and supported them. When they finally said goodbye to their guests and drove away toward their honeymoon, Maya looked back at the garden one last time. She thought about the girl who had run from a ruined wedding in tears, broken and humiliated. She thought about the woman who had risen from that devastation to build an empire fueled by rage. And finally, she thought about the woman she was now, someone who had learned that true strength came from choosing love over hate, creation over destruction, healing over revenge. "What are you thinking about?" Marcus asked, glancing at her as he drove. "I'm thinking," Maya said, taking his hand, "that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. With exactly who I'm supposed to be with. And that's the best revenge of all." Marcus laughed and brought her hand to his lips for a kiss. "Here's to living well." "Here's to living well," Maya echoed, and meant it with every fiber of her being. The road ahead was uncertain, as all roads are. There would be challenges in business, conflicts to navigate, and the normal struggles of building a life with another person. But Maya faced it all without fear, because she finally understood that she was enough on her own, which meant she could truly share herself with someone else. The girl who had whispered not yet to a wedding dress 1 year ago had become a woman who said yes to life, to love, to every possibility the future held. And that was the most beautiful ending of all. Not revenge, not destruction, not even justice. Just peace, joy, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to apologize for it. The car drove into the sunset, carrying 2 people who had found each other in the aftermath of betrayal and built something neither of them could have created alone. And in the rearview mirror, the past grew smaller and smaller until it finally disappeared completely. The end.